Bienvenue, bonjour tout le monde. Je suis Kumi Jinadasa, ingénieure principale dans l'équipe des astronautes, sciences de la vie et médecine spatiale ici à l'Agence spatiale canadienne. Welcome to everyone here at the headquarters of the Canadian Space Agency and to those of us joining online. Je tiens à souligner que nous nous trouvons à Longueuil, au Québec, sur le territoire traditionnel et non cédé de la Kanien'kehá:ka, également connu sous le nom de Nation Mohawk. We are incredibly fortunate to have the Artemis II crew here with us today to share insight about their journey. I'm guessing most of you are very familiar with Artemis II. The objectives, the first, and the sense of camaraderie among the crew. But if you're like me, you can never get enough of this mission. Je vous invite à tourner votre attention vers l'écran pour regarder une vidéo récapitulative de cette mission historique. Jenni Gibbons and Rocky would say, amaze, amaze, amaze. Cette vidéo donne vraiment des frissons. J'aimerais maintenant inviter Lisa Campbell, présidente de l'Agence spatiale canadienne, à venir nous adresser quelques mots.
Merci de vous joindre à nous pour un événement mémorable. Une rencontre très attendue avec l'équipage d'Artemis II après leur mission historique autour de la Lune. The Artemis II mission captivated and inspired the world as the crew traveled further into deep space than humans have ever been, marking the first flight to the moon in more than 50 years. The crew captured stunning images of the moon's far side and a breathtaking Earthrise, sharing their journey with the world and bringing lots of moon joy. The success of this mission also fostered a sense of global unity. It's a powerful testament to what we may accomplish when we set ambitious goals and work together to achieve them. J'aimerais inviter sur scène l'honorable Mélanie Joly, notre ministre de l'Agence spatiale et aussi ministre de l'Industrie et ministre responsable pour le développement économique Canada pour les régions du Québec. Ministre.
Merci Lisa, j'aurai l'occasion de poser plusieurs questions à notre équipage d'Artemis II. Mais avant tout, devant tout le monde, je voulais juste vous remercier du fin fond du cœur pour le travail extraordinaire de l'Agence spatiale canadienne. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, on the part of the Prime Minister and the part of the entire government. You guys did amazing work. And you've seen it, you've heard it from friends, from families, how much people were proud of Canada's involvement in this historic mission, and the fact that actually it brought a lot of hope, and sometimes times that are a bit more difficult. And so, in that sense, we want to use that momentum to not only make sure that we support the Artemis II team, but at the same time that we continue to really support the Canadian Space Agency to do even more investment in you, in the team, and of course in the agency. So that's the goal. Notre objectif, c'est bien entendu d'utiliser ce momentum-là pour justement réinvestir encore davantage dans l'Agence spatiale canadienne et bien entendu avoir davantage de succès dans l'avenir. And I think this was a good example of what we can do as a team, reinforcing a relationship also with the American team, with NASA, and at the same time showing how much we can, when we work together, we can accomplish great things. Donc pour nous, c'est important aussi de pouvoir travailler avec la NASA, de pouvoir renforcer la relation canado-américaine et en même temps démontrer au monde entier que lorsqu'on travaille ensemble, on est capable de faire de grandes choses. So, without further ado, the team of Artemis II. All of you. But of course, I would like to start with Jeremy. Je voulais commencer avec Jeremy. Jeremy, bien entendu, tu es notre inspiration, tu es notre modèle. You know, we know that your participation in space, your first time in space was historic. And at the same time, you inspired the entire country. We would like to know how this important mission transform you now that you've been able to have a bit of a distance, and you've been able to come back to Earth, and you've been able to see your family, and you're now seeing your entire family here at the Canadian Space Agency.
Thanks, Minister. You asked, I thought, just a really insightful question when we were all in space, about the perspective and how it changed me. And I know this question's slightly different, but it reminds me of that. And that nothing on this journey truly changed things that I already held to be true, from the perspective of we live on that gorgeous planet. Over there, I can see it, on tiny Earth. And that there is enough for everybody, and we're better when we work together. None of that changed. To answer your question more specifically, nothing changed about what I thought Canada was capable of, but I sure did enjoy seeing it in real life, and feeling it with my own eyes, and like being out there as a human in space, representing our extraordinary country, the extraordinary work that we have talked about many times, Minister.
Yeah.
Literally decades of Canadian innovation that put us in this situation. But I got to really feel it and live it. Mm-hmm. And now it makes me unapologetically proud. And also kind of like, let's get after it and let's go do the next thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of not willing to settle for anything less.
Puis, donc, ça t'a inspiré, ça t'a un peu transformé. Comment c'était d'être à Tout le monde en parle dimanche?
C'était la grande bienvenue pour le return de Canada pour moi. Mais quand j'avais dit avant, ici à l'agence, l'espace, l'exploration de l'espace, c'est dur, mais les communications, c'est vraiment plus dur.
Ouais. On va dire ça à Guy So, folks, you've worked with Jeremy. How was he in space, and how much did you see, how much he was Canadian? We want to hear, this is our moment, guys.
He was the best. He was, I don't know if my mic's working, maybe I need to turn it on. Yeah, is yours working? He was just the best. He was truly the best. We got up there, and probably the first time we heard a communication from him was about a minute into flight, where he just started giggling and going, I love this. And we were still on the powered flight. We were still on the boosters even, and on the solids, and it was just, that set the whole stage. There's probably a bunch of great memories, but one of the first things that Jeremy had to do was the hardest. When we got into space, Victor and I were able to stay strapped in, and we were just working with the vehicle to get the solar arrays out and get ready for our perigee raise maneuvers so we were in a stable orbit. But Christina had to go straight into the toilet and get the toilet functional, and Jeremy had to come over and get our water dispenser functional and then build this stowage area over there on the left, the port side of the vehicle. It was very complicated, and for the first thing that you have to do, you're getting out of your seat, you're in microgravity, you're floating, you're spinning around, you're moving upside down, and he was just doing it all. And then about an hour into the flight, I unstrapped and I came out of my seat and I float over in the giant orange launch and entry suit, and Jeremy just goes, you're going to be really disappointed in what I got going on over here. And it was just the cutest thing, but it was so well done. Everything that he was doing was just nailed, and then that just continued the entire time. I mean, that man is a gem. You all know he's a gem. Yes. That man is a gem to be in space with.
Go ahead, Christina. Go ahead.
That reminded me of so many great stories about Jeremy. The two words that come to mind are absolute excellence and kindness. Mm-hmm. He is so helpful and so concerned with how you're doing and how you're feeling. It is like nothing else. You never feel alone when you're with Jeremy, and it is a wonderful. He was the vet that wasn't a vet. He was up there just exceeding definitely what I was capable of. In fact, literally our rocket cut off, and he was like, all right, I'm out of my seat, I'm going to go to work. And I'm thinking, well, I guess I have to do that too then, I'm not ready. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And he literally saved my bacon. Well, not literally, that's a poor use of the word literally. He helped me out immensely, because while I was setting up the toilet, I started to get very, very warm in my spacesuit because I had to disconnect my cooling to reach where I was going. And he came over to offer assistance, and I said, you know what you can do? You can unzip this spacesuit. And he did, and it was like my whole world changed. So within, the first half hour of the entire mission, I knew who we would all be counting on. I'll tell one more anecdote. I'm sorry, I just can't stop because it's just hilarious. About 3 days into the mission, there's a concept in human spaceflight called the bungee jail. The bungee jail is something that you build to store things in microgravity kind of against a wall when you just know you're going to have a bunch of stuff and you need to put it down somewhere. So you create this kind of matrix or grid of bungees. And his job was to set up the bungee jail. And about 3 days in, he's like, I am so surprised you guys haven't just crushed me on this bungee jail and how terrible it looks. But it was a good bungee jail. So this guy just kept trying to be the rookie, and it was not working out for him.
Next question.
Honestly, I could sit here and just talk about Jenni and Jeremy the whole time. I would love to do that. I wish I had something as funny to add. You said about being Canadian, and I don't know if you want to all claim this too, but they both, highlighted this already. I just want to say grace like that. He talks about it. We had a lot of grace in integrity. And I love saying it that way. There was so much grace in integrity, and I would say the sentinel, the person who guarded it to make sure that we had grace in integrity all the time was Jeremy.
Jenni, do you want to add anything?
Obviously, I didn't experience Jeremy in space in the same way that the three of you did, but I experienced his joy on the ground talking to him, and it's just something I know he's waited so long for, we all have waited so long for, but just like the sheer joy of seeing Jeremy do what he was born to do on that mission with his three best buds and Rise, it was just wonderful. Like, I kept waiting for Jeremy's voice for the first time or seeing Jeremy for the first time, and then when I saw him, he was just all smiles and so happy. He was living his dream, and it was wonderful. And it was wonderful to also experience that through his family, because his family were just so proud, so happy. It was great.
Good. Reid, I have a question for you. So, apart from inspiration, and Victor referred to potentially also grace, what should people know about space exploration that we don't know necessarily? What is something that you would like to share to us that maybe we don't expect when you actually are into or exploring the space? I know it's a important question, but
I think the way I would like to answer that question is, all four of us are humans. We're all North Americans. We have different childhoods, but for the most part, we've been at NASA for a long time together. Jeremy, Canadian Space Agency, but you've lived with us in Houston. I mean, really, we are fairly similar, even though we honor our differences. But the thing I would say in space exploration is robotics are very important. But when you put four human minds into a vehicle, we are all approaching every situation differently, even though we're fairly similar. And just seeing those differences come to light, it was very surprising to me, even in the way that the pictures come down from this mission. We've made a pact that our photos are our photos. I know which ones I took for a little bit, but they are our photos. But when I look through the photos, what I see are our differences in the way we approach things. There were photos that were taken of humans looking out with nothing out the window except for the light reflecting in, because somebody cherished that view. There are pictures of the Earth in darkness where you can see the northern and the southern lights because one of us cherished that view. Then there's pictures where our faces are in with a tiny Earth, and I'm not kidding, it's tiny Earth, like tiny Earth. Out the window because we cherish those. And then there's videos of us joking around and being humans in space because one of us cherished those. And it's just, I just can't undersell how important it was for us to have a Canadian on board. I can't wait till we have someone from every country on board these missions, because it just changes the culture on board, it changes what we see, it changes how we feel about it. But just having different human beings on with our lifetime of experiences brings a richer mission. I think that's what I would say on that.
I'll talk to that. Victor, we saw you making all these flawless maneuvers, and you were training here in simulators, but also you went to the International Space Station. How is basically driving Orion different?
So, first of all, they were not flawless. But thank you. I think it's a team sport. We all were able to fly the vehicle at different points in the mission, but that proximity operations demo where we were, voice activated on the comm, and we were, stream of consciousness, and you had to listen to me think out loud. That activity, prior to launch, we trained a lot. I would say it's not flawless because I think of the 3 years of testing and training that we did to get ready for it. Yeah. And it went a lot of different ways at different times. But we had done it so many times in training that I would have told you I could have probably done it by myself. Run the procedure and done the maneuvers. When we got to space, it really took all four of us. Mm-hmm. And Orion responded great. Maybe the thing that was the most consistent. It flew like the simulator said it would, or better? How often does the thing, break that way, that it's better than you thought it would be? Orion flew better than than the simulator. It sounded quite different. The flying was quite similar, but the sounds were different, the feels were different. But it was the fact that the thing that surprised me the most, in test piloting, we do these things called handling qualities assessments. And you don't just say, this is how something flies. It's really, how does it do this task? It's task specific. And then you give a handling qualities rating, a number, and then the pilot comments. And I'll tell you the comments are I tried to really highlight that this was a group activity, and flying Orion, hopefully later missions are going to have an ability that, enables crews to get to a lander safely. But that vehicle, it took all four of us to make sure that we characterized how Orion flew, and that was the biggest piece of data that I didn't know was going to be out there.
No, that's interesting. And Christina, you have an important connection to Canada because you also went to the International Space Station. Yeah, me too.
She said last night she only flies with Canadians.
So because you were with David Seja, actually,
That's right.
at the International Space Station, and also you did your training for geology training with Jenni and with Jeremy here in Canada. How much did that training help you when looking at at the geology of the moon, particularly on the other side of the moon?
Well, it is true. I only fly with Canadians. I have standards. And that trip was incredible to Kimistaston Crater, because I say a lot that for me geology was a really hard topic to learn. I studied electrical engineering and physics, very black and white topics, and this idea of learning about rocks was really tough for me. The categorization, all the different ways that they could form. I actually never even understood the concept of asking how old a rock was, because to me I just saw atoms. So that was where it finally clicked for me, and I think it's because we took it on as a team. Oz, who led us through it, was just repetition, discovery, the frontier of it all. As someone who has spent a lot of time in the Antarctic and high Arctic and other places, it was like coming home but viewing it in a whole new way. And I really figured out geology with them in Canada, and that 100% contributed to the scientific success of this mission. I think we carried that as a crew into the mission, that journey, and it was everything.
Well, anytime you want more training on geology, we'll always or fly with more Canadians, no problem. We'll make that happen. So, il y a plusieurs personnes qui ont été impliquées pour faire en sorte que cette mission-là soit un succès. And of course, we're thinking about you, Jenni. You were one of the important Artemis Capcom. Your job was to, of course, you trained with the crew, because if there was any last-minute changes, you would have been there. And my mission is to bring you up there one day. We want to bring you up there. Dealing from Earth with Artemis II, and what did we not see or should we understand in your role at NASA?
Well, first of all, thank you. It really feels like coming back home here, so I'm so lucky. Really so lucky. There's a lot. First of all, to being a backup, I think that we learned along the way. Of course, you complete all of the training and reach every wicket that you have to fly should a need arise. Hopefully it doesn't, and it didn't. This was always a mission where 6 of us were assigned, but only 4 would fly. And to me, it was always just so fundamentally Jeremy's mission. Like, what can I do to support him and the Canadian Space Agency and this crew? And that was a long road. It was a lot of procedure reviews, a lot of work with the team to prepare, because I always knew fundamentally my most likely outcome would be with the ground team. And I remember maybe a year or a year and a half in really thinking what do what do I want this to look like to support the mission from the ground, and started thinking about what that would be. I was very fortunate in that I trained to be in the capsule prior to the crew getting in there, so help prepare the capsule for them pre-flight. I had a couple of different roles, checklists I needed to complete in there with the ground team. And then once they launched, made my way to Houston to support from Mission Control. And I really lived in that building for like a week. My family really didn't see me. Chris, my husband, was like, so the kids think you're in space. Might as well be, honestly. Haven't seen them in like a week. But they were so sweet and so supportive. And it was just a joy. Like, obviously you want to do a good job and you want to put into practice all the crew training and all the teamwork and all of the preparation, but fundamentally you are just there to support this mission. And I remember the first time being able to speak to the crew from Mission Control, and it was just like, your people, your best friends, again, doing what they were meant to do. And it was just a really big point of pride and happiness for me that I got to support you. And thank you guys for laughing at my jokes when I made them. I stole you money for that. That was great. Yeah, it was just such a wonderful experience. A lot of work, but very positive.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
So Jenny, of course, did all of the things that she needed to do, ready to fly in space as she needed to at a moment's notice, and did all of the ground support stuff to get Orion ready like she talked about, in Capcom, all the stuff you saw. But what you didn't see was how well she identified these new things that we didn't know we needed as a crew. And within our crew of 6, like, that is the extraordinary story of Jenny, is somebody who can see the big picture. It's not in her job description, but she was just doing it. And sometimes we would find out well after the fact that loop had been closed, and it had been closed by Jenny. So there's a lot of appreciation from us.
Thank you all. Merci aussi, Jérémy, d'avoir été le premier à parler français dans l'espace. Hein. Je pense que ça a résonné beaucoup ici au Québec et au Canada. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming to see us, to really meet with the Canadian public. I think that our goal is to make sure that we continue this strong cooperation between the CSA and NASA. We want to be able also to do more in space, more often. And we want more astronauts, Canadian astronauts, being there. And we want even more results. And, you know, Artemis II was a success. And that will help us to be able to achieve these goals. So, donc, merci beaucoup du fin fond du cœur. Thank you so much.
Merci pour ces questions importantes. And Artemis II crew, we're not done with you just yet. We have now questions from Air Cadets from Squadron 643 Saint-Hubert to come up to the microphone. There they are. To ask their questions. Please go ahead.
Bonjour, je suis le sergent Sermondet. Voici ma question. Plusieurs d'entre nous ont apprécié votre dynamisme, votre amitié et votre sens de l'humour. Selon vous, comment cette camaraderie a-t-elle été bénéfique pour la mission et pour vous, comment vous a-t-elle affecté?
Je peux commencer. Bien sûr, la camaraderie, c'était nécessaire pour nous faire pas juste le travail, mais le meilleur travail possible pour le moment. Mais l'histoire pour nous autres, ce n'était pas quelque chose de facile pour nous à travailler comme équipe, comme vous l'avez vu. Ça a pris beaucoup d'efforts. En fait, on a commencé il y a 3 années, et au début, on a pris une décision d'être certain quand on va lancer comme ami et retourner comme ami. Et on a fait mieux que ça, je pense.
C'est maintenant le tour de Diane Gilles Cloutier.
Bonjour, je suis l'adjudant 2 Cloutier et ma question est la suivante. Lors de votre arrivée sur Terre, vous avez tous dit plusieurs mots très inspirants, comme Christina a dit « Planet Earth, you are a crew ». Quel serait un message du même type que vous adresseriez aux cadets?
I can start this one, and thank you for referencing that. I think that what I would share, and this is hopefully just a springboard, I think we all have things we could share. It actually goes back to the question that was just asked about our relationship, because a lot of people think that going up as friends and coming back as friends is kind of a nice thing to have on the side. But I view it differently. I view it as one of the key things to mission success. We had a trust in sharing with each other everything, and that is probably the most important thing for our safety and successful accomplishment of our mission that you can imagine. And just one example is, say, mistakes. We were not defensive, we were not guarded, we were open when we didn't understand something, we were open about our capabilities and how much we were able to carry the load on any given moment, and that is what I would say is the most important thing for our mission success. And to translate that into a message for cadets, it would be support each other and value relationships. Your baseline job is to be technically excellent, and you can augment that and make it absolutely a full fulfillment of success by investing in your relationships just as strongly.
Bonjour, je suis la cadette de première classe Spanie. Colonel Hansen, quelle aptitude clé avez-vous développée chez les cadets de l'air et comment vous a-t-elle servi durant votre entraînement à la mission? Et pour l'équipage d'Artemis II, quelle aptitude acquise dans votre jeunesse a été la plus déterminante pour votre carrière d'astronaute?
Je vais commencer. Pour le monde sur ligne, c'est important pour moi d'écrire qu'il y avait comme trois étapes de cadets de l'air ici dans la salle. Ça, c'est quelque chose d'important pour moi. Ça me touche parce que, pour vos questions, les cadets de l'air a changé ma vie. Ça, c'était un des choix les plus importants pour moi quand j'étais un jeune Canadien. Ça m'a donné la confiance. Ça m'a enseigné comment de pratiquer le leadership. Mais en plus de ça, comment ça a commencé à me décrire comment d'être un membre d'une équipe et travailler comme équipe. Et comme Christina vient juste de dire, ça c'était quelque chose qui m'a servi pendant toute ma vie. Alors, pour les cadets de l'air, un grand remercie pour tout le monde qui supporte cette organisation.
Alors, merci. Oh, Victor?
Well, because I saw Artemis II crew down there, I thought that we might all have a chance to share something. And I think it relates to the previous question as well, that I think assessing my journey to becoming an astronaut, not this mission specifically, but the journey to becoming an astronaut, I have to be honest. I could tell you a story about my father. When I joined the Navy, I was signing up to go be a Navy SEAL. I wanted to jump out of airplanes and blow things up, and I wanted to have this ride. I was a football player and a wrestler, and I was all about the adrenaline. And my dad said, with an engineering degree and being a pilot, you might become an astronaut. My dad said that to me in 1998, and in fifth grade, I could do this through almost every year, definitely every phase of my life. But in fifth grade, a teacher, I had finished the in-class work, and so I started talking to my classmates. I'm known to be a little talkative. And he pulled me aside and he said, appreciate you. I know. Thank you for your service. Personal and professional. And he pulled me aside and he said, Victor, you know, if you work really hard, one day you might make a great engineer. And to 10 or 11-year-old Victor, I'm like, I don't know why math is required to drive trains, but his name was Mr. Hargrove, and Mr. Hargrove's belief in me is what I've been chasing that ever since. So the point is, what skill from my youth that I think is still important, it may not always seem like it, but it's listening. I listened to my dad. I listened to Mr. Hargrove. They may not have known it at the time, be honest, okay? But it's listening. And I want to go back and be very clear about something to the previous one. My message to you cadets is really for the other youth, not you, because I'm looking at you all prim and proper and poised and alert, being here. Thank you. The thing I want to say, when I was your age, what I needed to hear, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay because you're going to work hard. And that's the part I want them to see you being massively successful and understand how important it is to listen and to work hard, which you're already exemplifying. So thank you for being an example to other young people.
I want to take it from grand completely down to bathrooms real quick. But because Air Cadets were asking these questions, and you're looking at these people in these blue flight suits who have had entire careers. We did not start our careers successful from day one. We built this over time with a lot of perseverance. And I think if I was going to just talk to somebody young and who is looking to go in the military, but I think this relates to anyone, you got to start with a pebble. You got to start very small and figure out what your element is in the success of the overall team that you're on. And the reason I wanted to tie it to bathrooms, I was in the United States Navy, you were still in the United States Navy, but I was in the United States Navy for 27 years. My very first job, I was flying F-14s, like fighter jets. I have made it. I am there. I'm doing the thing that I dreamt of my whole life. But my job was called First Lieutenant. And what the First Lieutenant did was clean the bathrooms. And I noticed very quickly that what my squadron needed was not for me to be able to deploy in combat. It actually needed paper towels and soap in all of the bathrooms. And it was old bars of soap, and they were always just gummed up and gunky. And I put a sign over my desk that I still have, and it said, "Do not lose the scope. Your job is paper towels and soap." And I truly, every morning and every evening, I would go into every bathroom in our spaces, and I would make sure we had paper towels and soap, because that was the way I could best support the warfighting effort right there. So just don't lose scope. That you're going to start small, and you're going to build this enormous career out of that.
Before we say thank you to the entire crew, I just wanted to say thank you also to Nathalie et Joseph and Olivier Duba, who are the two MPs from the region, les deux députés de la région. Donc merci d'être ici, les gars.
We still have a few more questions we want to ask this crew. In fact, we have some pre-recorded questions. The first one we're going to have a listen to is from Isha from Abbotsford, British Columbia.
Do you think everyone can become an astronaut?
You know what, my intellectual brain, I'm going to put that aside. I'm just going to say, I hope everyone can become an astronaut.
Any more answers? No? Okay, good. Well, merci. La deuxième question nous provient de l'école Champ-Valley de Beaumont, Alberta.
Hi, Jeremy. Our class grew tomato seeds, and we wanted to ask you,
if you could grow any plant in a lunar greenhouse, what would you want to grow and why?
Well, before I would make an important choice like that, I'd probably want to think about it a little more, but I'll tell you what comes up first in my head. The first thing that popped into my mind when you said that was a big maple tree, and it's really it's got a flair of Canada for sure, and can provide maple syrup, which we all love. But I've really learned just a lot of respect for trees, and as I spend more time on this planet and now a little bit of time off of it, I try to look at the trees a little bit more. We were in a place on the West Coast recently, and I saw this enormous tree, and I was just like, that is impressive that thing has been on Earth and growing that long. And I know my crewmates know it because I was making a big deal of this big tree as we were driving by it. And so I just, nature is what allows us to survive here as humans on this planet. I've been listening to my crewmates say more things like this. If you want to understand what we experienced, I heard Reid say this first, but it really resonates. If you want to know what we saw, take some time and get into nature, and you'll see what we saw inside the innards of a flower, for example. You can experience some of what we experienced on a grand scale.
Beautiful answer, Jeremy. Thank you. There's still appetite for one more question. We'll take from Yannick from Notre-Dame, New Brunswick.
Quand tu regardes la taille de l'espace, quelle émotion ressens-tu?
I haven't answered this in one word before, but I'm gonna say lucky. I just looked out. I was so glad that I lived there. It was really beautiful.
I think you get a big clap.
Well, thank you, Artemis II crew. Je suis certaine que nous aurions plusieurs questions, mais malheureusement, c'est tout le temps que nous avons. I want to thank everyone who came here today to the event and everyone who's watching online. C'est un réel privilège de vous avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui à la suite de cette mission historique. Minister Jolie, Jenni, Jeremy, Christina, Victor, and Reid, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and thank you for your words of wisdom. When it comes to the future of space exploration, I think we all know that the best is yet to come, and I am certain that young Canadians were very inspired by your words here today and the ones you continue to echo. Thank you. Merci. Everyone in the room, we're going to take a selfie with the Artemis II crew. And so if you can all stand up and put your smiles on, which I'm sure you already have.
That was much harder than I thought. It was just looks like I'm